folks. Welcome back to the UK Games Expo live stream. My name is Millie, and I'm joined, for those who didn't manage to make it last year, I'm joined by UK Games Expo Marketing Manager Kate. How you doing, Kate?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right. It's exciting to be back live. And we have with us Dr. Richard Denning, UK Games Expo Director. How are you doing, Richard?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting time to kind of jump back into Twitch and try and be like, it's moderately exciting given the current situations. So yeah, we are tempered by this, but no, it's great to be back. Great to see so many faces in chat. Well, I say faces. It's nice long names, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Nice, long, impossible to pronounce, but it sounded like a great idea for your handle to be that at the time. For example, seem to be a bunch of things with a letter in and a number. It's Katie Lemming. That's what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. But yes. Yeah. But it's nice when people are pronounceable.
It is, yeah. That would be great if people could do that for me in the future. We're here to talk to Richard today about an announcement that came out via media partners on Tabletop just at the weekend. It was great fun to kind of see those folks. There's been a change in dates for this year's expo.
Yes, indeed. We've postponed the show to the dates of the 30th of July to the 1st of August. Currently, these dates became available to us. So people have asked us in the past, why hadn't we attempted to get later dates at a much earlier point? And the simple matter was there weren't any available. If you think about what happened last year with all the cancellations of all the shows, not just ours, but all the other ones, they all piled into 2021 onto all the available weekends, and there was simply only a limited amount of dates and available halls and things at the time. And we asked several times. It's not that we ignored the possibility. We did go back to them a few times and asked about the alternate dates. A couple of weeks ago, an alternate date did become available for the last weekend of July and first weekend August, which is where we've decided to move to. That means postponing the show by 8 weeks. Had we been able to take a later date, potentially that we might have looked at it as well, but that is not available to us. And there are various reasons why a show the size of the expo probably not want to run into the October period, because that would mean we would be colliding with all the big show Essenspiel, and Origins is delayed into that period in this year as well. Which means obviously that becomes essentially difficult to do a large show. So we made that decision to make the move.
So it wasn't just like any date down the road. It's got to fall in line with a lot of different things. It's not just. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, we are near to the dates of Gen Con, and any other year we would never contemplate doing that, because an awful lot of the companies that come to the UKGE also do Gen Con. Before Gen Con would just be completely bonkers, and we wouldn't contemplate doing it.
And also we would be at Gen Con as well, pretty much. So
yes, absolutely.
That would be the other thing.
But it became available, and we looked at it and we thought, well, this does not mean that we can guarantee a show by any means. It increases the possibility of a show being run in 2021. Probably no stronger than that. It just increases the possibility, from what was becoming obvious to us as we were looking at all the facts and figures, and spend a lot of time keeping an eye on everything that's going on. That May-June date was becoming increasingly, just impossible to contemplate. All very, very difficult, certainly. This is a little bit more likely.
Cool.
That's where we are with that.
And it's interesting to note that it's not so. Whilst Expo now falls the weekend before Gen Con does, we are actually in touch with all of the bigger conventions and things around the world. So this isn't done in isolation. You have regular meetings with them. Is that right?
I do. Yes, I'm very. I managed to meet Chapman's Gen Con at Gen Con whenever it last happened.
Before now.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
a very nice chat with him.
2019.
I mean,
That's right.
we had some live streams with Peter at
and
Virtually
Peter, of course,
Expo,
who owns Gen Con. And so, these are people that we do keep in touch with, and likewise, Origins and UK Games and Toys, and some of the other shows, both internationally and in this country. Our friends at Tabletop Scotland and Aircon and Dragon Meet, of course. So we do have conversations with others, and we do chat about things and how do people think about how things are going. And I'm trying to be supportive of them as well, and they're very supportive of us. And there's a general recognition at the moment that this is as last year was a very peculiar year.
Yes.
And it's all about doing the right thing in terms of if a show's run, doing a right, safe show. If things can't run, then being as supportive as possible of everybody else in order to get to a point when we can run safely again. And that international and national level support does help a lot. You start to get the feel. You sort of say, we're thinking about doing that, and if everybody stares at you blankly, you think, okay, well, we might rethink this. Well, what's the problem with that, guys? And on the other hand, if they're agreeing and giving their ideas, and sometimes you're asked the question. We have been asked the question about vaccine things and would you have to prove and so on. And whilst that hasn't been something that's been absolutely defined in this country yet, there's certainly been lots of conversation about it. And that was the thing we had a conversation about is, are you guys going to do that? How would you do it? So, you want to try and minimise the physical interaction with people at things like ticket booths. So how are you going to do it? And so on. So that kind of conversation helps, to find out other people, how others are thinking.
You're dispelling the cutthroat world of board game convention organisation here.
Yes.
You're dispelling it down to some very sensible and very amicable folks being.
I think
sharing best practice and looking for a way to make things happen safely that's good for as many as possible.
I thought it was all like, the resistance.
Screw you guys.
The resistance, and I'm just here as your traitor. No. But sort of reeling us back into maybe the dates and stuff, because a couple of folks have asked. Kate and I have been looking through social media and that kind of things. These dates that are just below me, 30th of July to 1st of August, is that completely set in stone? If NEC say, oh, maybe you could do this later, or if situations change and yourself and Tony don't feel comfortable, will it definitely still happen on those dates?
No, I mean, the absolute first thing we're going to say is that we will not run a show unless we are totally convinced that we can comply with all the national level and local level rules, regulations, restrictions, whatever the NEC are saying, whatever Public Health England are saying, and the government are saying. And first of all, we have to be able to do that, and we have to be able to feel that those rules, regulations, and everything would provide for a safe show in the current world in which we live in. And it was clear to us that was not going to be possible last May, nor in August, nor in May. That's just happened. That's why we've cancelled 3 times, and we will cancel a 4th time if we are not convinced that this can be done safely. It will not be something we're not going to plough ahead regardless. We have an opportunity to do something on this date line. We haven't got other dates available. So right now, if we can't run then, I think it means that we don't show in 2021. We will be looking to our 2022 dates, which we already know when they are. I can't remember them right now, but
I don't have them either, which is careless.
But we can check on those. But that would be the case. We would just simply be looking to roll everything over, all the bookings for exhibitors, tickets and everything would pile on to the 22 date line. But this is about a possible show if everything went well in terms of vaccine rollouts doing very, very well, to the point that the conclusion that was coming down officially from all the guidance, all the science and everything, is that you can run some form of safe show under these rules. And those rules might be quite restrictive. So it may well be that people, masks and obviously things like print at home tickets, so you don't have to come and get physical tickets. We won't have a physical program. It will be a PDF program, so you can just have that on your device. A lot wider aisles and one-way systems and quite a lot of restrictions on how people can demo things. You know, we're looking at options for that so that you can very much limit the physical contacts. I know some of our partners we've been speaking to, the likes of Asmodee, are looking seriously at ways that they could do, you know, talk people through games, but minimizing, you know, physical contact. And it may well be that we just have it's an awful lot smaller show this year. You know, it's a percentage of the size of the normal show. You know, perhaps a third or less than a half, certainly.
Okay, so
but, you know, yeah.
So one of the things you said with on tabletop was essentially you're sort of planning one show wasn't enough for you. You're going to plan two at the same time, and then there'll be a point where you'll perhaps just wipe one of those off the table and then focus on making what is this two sort of shows? What's that?
Okay, well the first show will be a normal show. So we only have halls 2 and 3 this particular year, when we this whole rugby scrum for getting halls all sorted at the NEC meant that we couldn't get hall 1, but we could get hall 2 and 3. We'd already decided that probably in any event of a show in 2021, it'd probably be a smaller show than the normal show. We'd probably have less exhibitors, there'd be probably less visitors, restrictions and things would limit things. So we felt that those 2 halls would be sufficient. So we have a layout in there based on a relatively normal show, with most of the normal things that you see at the expo.
So by normal we mean like lots of exhibitors, some open gaming, bring them by.
Now that's the one thing that we probably will drop off this year. I think in the other form of the show, social distance show, bring them by would absolutely be impossible. But actually, our feeling is that even in a normal show, because we have limitations on space that we've got, we had to make some decisions. Bring them by takes an awful lot of room.
Yes.
And I think this year we will be dropping that. You know,
tournaments.
Tournaments, maybe in limited amounts. So again, limited space. So it may well be that we pick and choose a few specific tournaments to run. We will have some open gaming space. We will have obviously the trade hall. In the normal show, we'd probably still intend having a family zone, and things associated with that. We can have live entertainment, and we would look. You know,
the Darrens are still going to be able to come along and shout.
Yep, we would
stay
hope.
up late.
We would hope, and also we think some role playing would be possible. You know, in that show. Although the one thing at the moment we have limitations on is space at the Hilton Hotel, because we've obviously moved. Currently there's not a lot of space there, but we'll cross that bridge.
So even with a reduced size, we're still going to have a relatively normal selection of UK Games Expo things. Like Vikings. Might the Vikings still come along?
Quite likely, yeah, and the Stormtroopers, our friend the Orcs and things.
Okay.
In a normal show, there's no particular reason why we can't have a lot of that happening. It would just be a show probably around the size of the 2016 show, the first one we did at the NEC.
This year might be the year of the Dalek, because that's obviously, if people are worried, the best way to encase yourself and distance socially.
Everybody be a Devra.
Stormtrooper helmets could be good as well.
Very much so. Yes.
Okay. So what about this? Like, I imagine the super socially distanced show, because really the normal one sounds quite sensibly distanced already. So the super socially distanced one, can you fully plan for that, or do we need to just?
Well, we have where we are with that is that the last summer the NEC did quite a lot of work on how social distance shows would work, and briefings and things for all of the the show organisers. So we started to look at that. So what we have to do is we have to come up with our own plans based on what their rules are. So we we'll analyse it, do our own risk assessments, and do our own look at the whole thing. But we saw what their. And that is when I spoke about things like masks and limiting contacts and wider aisles and stuff, are the sorts of things they're talking about. Yeah. So that's as far as we can go, though, in terms of how it might work, until we actually have a set of rules. And that, right now, the set of rules are a show is not, we can't run a show. That's easy.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't run a show. However, if the rules relax towards the summertime, then we would have to see what those rules meant. Now, of course, even in tiers 1 and 2, in the before the lockdown happened again, you could run an event of 1,000 people. That was permitted in a tiers 1 and 2. So you would have to get back to that kind of level, but allowing a bit more in order for it to be feasible to do a show. And it may be that those rules never appear when we can't do it, but when they do appear, it's likely to be, it's going to be April or time before we, or May even before we get proper sight of those. And so that's why we're telling people that we're going to make a decision around that time, because we need to see where the land lies at that point.
So I guess that kind of answers why folks can't get tickets, why volunteering isn't open, why I can't submit my RPG yet, because there's a decision to come.
Yes, the decision. I mean, there's no point in us taking money off all the ticket holders. If we did have to refund it all and things, both we and they tend to lose money on the process and all that kind of thing. We don't know if we're going to even run role-playing games. So therefore, there's no point in taking GM's submissions that we would hope in one form of the show we will, but we don't know how many. So there's just too many questions that to be able to answer. So we're not even taking bookings from exhibitors, new exhibitors that is. We have already a couple of hundred exhibitors that are on the map, and we're having the conversations with them. And we're being realistic and totally flexible with them about the things. So what we're saying to them is, look, if you're non-UK, then you may well feel that you're not going to be able to come, whatever the circumstances come July. So if that's the case, that's fine. We'll roll you forward with your bookings and your money and things into 2022. However, others of people are coming back and saying, well, we'd like to come if it's possible, but we need to see how it is. And we say, absolutely, we need to see how it is. Let's kick this back for a conversation in April, May, and then we'll see. But I'll keep you on the map for the moment. And and it's working out that a good portion of the exhibitors, UK exhibitors, by and large, are saying, well, if the show runs and it's a safe show, there's a good chance we'd come. There's some of them are a little bit more hesitant than others if they feel that they're personally in risk groups and this sort of thing, and that's absolutely fine. So what we're saying to them, look, if you don't feel it's a safe thing, we're going to push you through to 22. There's no argument about that.
So there's no kind of hard sell like we are having an expo, you must turn up to it.
No, not at all.
If you don't fancy it, that's okay. That's cool.
That's right.
In fact, it's almost the other way around, where people are coming. So the moment we release things in January to say when things were on, we had exhibitors going from all the way channels going, can we book a stand? Can we book a stand? I need this much space. Can we do this? Yeah. And the answer is, we would love to say yes, but we need to pause until we know what we've got and how much space we have, which is wonderful.
Yeah, so I'm having the conversation with them saying, well, there's a spot here, there's a spot there. But again, because people may drop out because overseas people can't come, then a lot of that may change. And so we're having to be an awful lot more flexible than we would be able to be. Although, we are still 6 months away from a show. So in a normal year, if you think about it this way, we take 2 months off from where we are now. We've only just probably got back, or not long got back from Essen, having been there and started to book things, and I'd be still probably trying to get everyone onto a map. That's still a long time for these sorts of things to happen. We've got plenty of time to see how things unfold.
So Amphorus Jam on the Twitch chat has asked a question. A lot of folks have been asking, like, they bought their 2019 ticket, they rolled it over to this year. What happens with their ticket either way? What happens? And if there's a price increase, what about because they paid 2019 prices, what happens if 2021? I'm confused with years because it feels like the 700th of March 1823. So they bought one for they
bought a 2020 ticket.
There we go. Thanks, Kate.
Some people bought a 2020 ticket. Some people will have rolled it over to 2021. If you've done that, what happens now? Is basically the question.
Okay, so we still have these two possible. Well, there's three possible outcomes, aren't we? If we don't get to run a show this year, then those tickets can basically just roll forward to the next year, and they will retain their day value. In other words, if you've got a 3-day ticket, that will be valid for 3 days, even if the price goes up in 2022. So this effectively you bought early, you got early bird rates, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, yeah. That early wave on backers on Kickstarter, yeah.
And the same will apply if we can run a normal show this year. So that if the prices for some reason at the present moment the prices are, I think, basically the same as last year, because we haven't selling them. But if for some reason we revise those, if you had a ticket for 2-3 days, we would honour those for 2-3 days, 1 day, whatever. The only exception comes if we end up with this socially distanced show. Now, the reason for that is that we have to have an awful lot less people. There will be a finite number of tickets. We've never done that before. We don't limit the number of tickets. In theory, there's a finite amount, but that's to do with fire limits in the halls, and those are always a bit bigger than we get to, so we don't have to worry about it. But with a social distance show, we have an absolute limit on the total number of occupants that are allowed in there. We have to be monitoring that, being very careful with it. So that would mean that we would have to limit the number of ticket sales, and because of that, we still have a show to run. There are a lot of costs in running a show. So if we did do a show, then that price would the prices for the social distance show would be higher per day, basically. It would be £15 a day, and there would not be a 2 or 3 day discount available, because the reason for that is that we feel it is better to encourage people to come for a day, and more people be able to come for over the weekend, even if they just come for a day, than to what we normally do, which is we want to encourage people to come for the 3 days, don't we? And absolutely, about 22 we'll be back to doing exactly that again. But this year we have to juggle the costs of doing it, or the security costs, the volunteer costs, and all that sort of stuff, but against a significantly reduced ticket number quantity. So that means that the tickets would be lower price, and that would be higher. It would be a higher price per day, and there would not be a 2 or 3 day discount. So what in that situation, your tickets would retain their value as a sort of credit against whatever the total cost for the tickets that you bought. So you have the option of basically saying, I'll come, and I understand I might have to pay a little bit extra, or no, I won't come this year, I'll come next year, in which case we'll roll over, or we cancel, in which case that's what will happen anyway.
So
I feel like I should make this as an if then else little design, and we should stick it out on social media, because it's straightforward when you think about it, but whenever we explain it, it just needs to be clear to everyone to say, yes, we'll honour tickets on this, but if there is a socially distant show, then there needs to be a bit of very small shenanigans.
Oh, well, certainly onto several quantum realities on from where we started from.
Yes. What if we do this, and then what if we do that? And
so in terms of folks knowing, like, I've rolled my ticket over, and I want to keep up to date with what's going on, is it best to make sure that I head into my account and my email address is up to date, or should I subscribe to what's the best way for me to keep up to date with that and check?
So I would say that the best ways this would be subscribe to our newsletter, because you'll get everything that Expo is doing will be sent directly to your email address. Please do make sure that you have us in your contacts and things, mostly because when I send out the emails, it has marketing at the front, and Expo has or Games Expo has the difficult thing of having SEX. So marketing and SEX is normally spam filtered up to the nines, and quite rightly so. So sign up to our newsletter. That's the way things get directly to you. But we will also be putting things out on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on our news pages on the website, wherever we can get to you guys, including into the Discord channels when we manage to pop those in as well, just so that we can keep everyone up to date. As soon as we have information we can release, we absolutely release it into the wild. It's so important to keep everyone up to date with that, and share it. The people ask, what can you do for Expo? The best thing would be is, if you're signed up to these things, share our posts, retweet us, tell your mates about it and things. That's word of mouth is just magic. It's the best sort of marketing, and gamers are really, really good at talking to each other. So yes, please sign up.
So we've kind of covered a bit about the tickets and the temporal flux that is happening there, which then also leads us on to things like hotels and stuff. I've had a few questions from folks. Chewy on the Board Game Trading and Chat was asking about it. What happens with rolling tickets, rolling hotels around and moving, as if they've booked through the website, if they've booked direct? What can we help folks with there?
Okay, so it does depend on how you've gone about doing it. So if you booked through the Hilton link, which there will be a new Hilton link going on the site. It isn't yet being created, so at the present moment in time they haven't got around to quite doing that. But what you can do is contact the Hilton, and they will look at what the conditions of your bookings were and look to help you moving. But BCDME, which is the hotel tool that we have on our accommodations page, which I think Kate can probably drop the address in the chat. That will allow you to book again a variety of hotels. They were making contact with individuals who had booked through them, so you probably ought to have already had contact from BCD ME if you'd booked through them previously. If you haven't, then the thing to do is go onto that page, and there's links in there to phone number and an email address that you can make contact with them, and they will look to sort you out. But the new tool on there has the new date line. Now, there was yesterday, I was made aware that there was an issue with the start dates and end dates, and it seemed to fix you into having to take 3 hotel nights, and that isn't the intention. That was a bit of a some sort of bug. So I think they fixed that. We'll check that again a bit later, and if you do have any issues, then let us know. But that's with that. If you've booked externally through other means, obviously you'll have to talk to them, because we're not having conversations with Expedia and Late Rooms and Booking.com and all the other guys. We only had direct conversations with Hilton and BCDMA.
Okay, cool. And given what we were saying earlier about this,
so the only thing I should add to that is whatever you do, get cancelable rooms.
Make sure that your rooms are flexible.
And the same with any form of transportation, if you're able to, flexible trains and flights and whatever, hot air balloons and everything.
Hot air balloon to Expo. I think you probably have to.
That'd be a great way of social distancing. We could have a second show via hot air balloon above the whole thing. That'd be amazing.
Some sort of Ewok platform going on.
The Fifth Element with the Chinese thing, the Chinese restaurant in a boat that floats around an airship.
Yeah, wonderful.
Cool.
All right, okay. Let's just bring us back. We've already got 3 quantum realities. We don't need about 10. Let's just bring that back in. So hotel bookings. Check with the link Kate put, or go directly to the folks if you book direct. One of the other frequent questions is, can I buy a ticket now?
No.
Not yet.
That's the quick answer. Not yet. So our intention at the moment is we were originally going to put tickets on sale at Easter for our original date line. It's quite close to the date of the show. At the present moment, the website says tickets will be available after Easter, which technically could be any time between then and July, to allow us a bit of flexibility.
July,
So we will put them on sale when we reach the point of believing that all our assessment is there's a good chance now that we can run this show. If we get to that stage, and I'm confident, or at least pretty confident, that the show can run, and that will be a time to do this. It's not the right time at the moment, because all we'd end up doing is then having all sorts of backwards and forwards about people about them having to roll over again and all of that kind of thing. We handled the rollovers from last time until this time, but we haven't we don't have to muck about with people. They take money on one week and then send it back the following week, because whenever that happens, there's always a loss of money along the way. So no point in doing that yet.
We'll also give a countdown to when tickets go on sale, so it won't just be a boom. Here it is. I mean,
particularly if it's that limited show. If we know we've only got a few thousand tickets a day, then we would say we give people advance warning of that. To be fair by them, remember the days when we had there's 1 or 2 tournaments, weren't there? That I think War Machines Hordes was the one I remember the most of. So War Machines Horde, we run a sort of 80, 90, even 120 player tournament on that, and the tickets went on sale, and an hour later they'd all gone. So popular was that particular event. So we realised sometimes people are keen, and if there was a limited number, it's only fair to give people a chance.
Give people forewarning.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And is it a similar sort of thing for when do volunteers applications open?
Yeah, no, we've been working on. I know that the volunteer twins, Andy and Simon have been working on the volunteer pages on the site, the application form, and all of that sort of thing. It was probably just about ready to go live actually when we made the decision about the postponement. So there's some more tweaking being required on that, and also we're having to have a serious look at how many volunteers do we need, because if we've not got to bring them by, then okay, we haven't got to bring them by. But on the other hand, do we need more volunteers to allow for the distance show, where you've got to do more stewarding and organising and things. So there's still quite a bit of work that's needed on those numbers, but they'll start putting that live at some point. So keep an eye open for that.
They are also trying to fill volunteer roles for at least 2 different style games expos.
That's the issue, is that one version they said, so what are we role playing, and I say, well, maybe not, and I just change them.
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay. Will there be live entertainment? Well, and all this sort of stuff. So that does radically alter the number of volunteers needed. Sure. And we're giving them a bit of a headache there, but and that could well be again April time before we really make a call.
All right, so folks haven't missed any volunteer call.
No,
don't panic. I know folks normally have started submitting applications and filling out things, and Simon and Andy have begun the great kind of collating and stuff by now, but it's not going to happen for a good 2 or 3 months.
I think that we might put the call out for people to start applying, but because there is uncertainty of the form of the show and what proportions we need, it is going to take time for us to be able. People are going to have to be quite flexible this year, and it could be quite late on before we know where we are.
Exactly what's happening.
So I think the aim of it is that they're going to take people who are wanting to volunteer, and you can apply for it now. But you might not know exactly what's happening until closer to the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. You've mentioned that you are in touch with a lot of exhibitors already, especially exhibitors who are rolling over from the last physical show. Is just getting in touch with yourself the best thing to do for those folks?
Yes. I mean, I believe I've now emailed everybody who had a stand rolled over, so that was about 200 emails and things over the last couple of weeks, with the maps and hall plans and everything, and saying, well, this is where you are, this is where you'll be on this version of the show, this is where I can put you on that version of the show. Is that all right? Do you think you'll come? Do you think actually you want to leave it this year because of safety reasons or just simple practicalities? And all of those conversations are already starting to happen, and a lot of them have already happened. I sent out a global email to all of the exhibitor lists as well, which would include everybody who hasn't got a stand, and I'm in a position certainly to have a conversation with people about what stands are available. I can't sell them one yet or invoice them or any of that things, but we can say, well, here's a spot, there's a spot, what do you think about here, and can start to look at putting and placing them on the plans. So yes, email me. There's an exhibitor package on the site.
Okay, cool.
On the exhibit button at the top there. So if you go into that, you'll find there's information about the show, and the exhibitor pack is on there, which includes 2 or 3 pages at the back on a social distance show and how we will handle that. We're actually charging the exhibitors less money in a social distance show, because we reckon that obviously less people coming, it's all about, from their perspective, obviously sales would be impacted on. So we're being fair with that, and we know as well as that there may be additional costs if they have to do a social distance show. So we're trying to shoulder a bit of the burden on that, and we've got these 2 levels of social distance show depending on what the attendance numbers were. So that's all explained in the pack.
Okay, so I think we've covered like most of the the questions that folks have been sending in over social media, in the chat today, and just those comments, especially on the Facebook page. There's some great comments. I think the thing folks might want to take away from this is be optimistic, but not foolish.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's the attitude. I mean, the time, we have 6 months, so we will be making decisions as the news unfolds. Right now, we are absolutely the bleakest part of this horrible sort of period of the pandemic, and this is looking at anything at the moment. You would be foolish to be able to make any form of predictions or promises. But 6 months is a lot of time. The vaccines are rolling out very, very well. There are obviously lots of concerns about supplies and all of this sort of thing, but we are hopeful that that'll continue, that the numbers will come down, and also the treatments coming online.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping a bit of an eye on with my former GP hat and things. So obviously there is stuff coming through which will be starting to come online in the early summer, which will improve people's chances of if they do get COVID. So there's quite a lot of things that may happen over the period of 2 or 3 months that would reach the point you start to see the government's going to be publishing some plans next month, I believe, about how they see things coming. Now, obviously we'll have to wait for that, and we'll have to wait and see. But so I think what you've got to be in these situations is have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, well, then nothing can happen.
No.
But equally, we're being realistic that plan might, for the fourth time, get torn up and go back in the bin. And in which case, I already have the maps from 2020, which will get dusted off, and that'll be the start of the plans for 2022.
Yes.
So that's where we are.
Okay, so keep the hope alive, but temper it with the reality of
yes.
2021 is.
It's an uncertain year. Yeah.
Oh, T&K Gaming asked if we're...
Please.
I was going to say, T&K Gaming asked if we're going to have Expo sanitizer in the merch booth. Is Nikki on that already?
I don't know.
Getting hold of any of it, whether it's Expo branded or not.
Oh.
Binky.
All right. Okay, cool. I think...
I think I'm glitching a little. I apologise. The only last thing to say is that we are updating bits of the website as we know more. So if there are things that look like they're not quite ready for 2021, it's probably because we haven't managed to put a sign saying we're updating this for 2021 new dates. Okay,
yeah,
and everything else, it is being updated, but then it's obviously taken a little while to filter through. So we are in the process of updating everything on the website, but there's obviously quite a few pages to get through.
Okay. Lots of folks want to know if their favourite part of the expo will be in expo. I think you were mentioning earlier that a big part of that answer to that question is we don't know.
Yes, I mean, I think what we can say is that almost certainly we won't have a bring and buy this year. I never say 100% anything because there's been so many blinking changes this last year or so that it's just not safe to say anything like that. But I think right now I find it difficult to conceive that we would do that. It just takes up too much space of what we've got available, and clearly you cannot socially distance the bring and buy. If you've ever been in the bring and buy, it's like about a whole Six Nations championship having simultaneously.
Because someone's mentioned Twilight Imperium is £10 on the back shelf.
Right.
Yeah.
But the Bring and Buy will be back. It's a key part of the expo. We very much love having it there. We like having this bit that we still believe is the world's biggest Bring and Buy. So it will return. But we may have to have a year without it this year. Other areas are very much up to a matter of what form of show are we able to run, what space do we have, and what can we safely run. The core of the expo is games. So we will be having exhibitors exhibiting games and demonstrating games. Some of those methods for demonstrating might have to be innovative. Do you have to space people out? Do you have to have people wearing gloves? Do you have to have a demonstrator only touching the contents? In other words, you can still play the game, but you have to tell the demonstrator
can you move that there, please? And that sort of thing. There's
to
other
B or something, that kind of stuff.
Behind plastic screens, there are various things that have been discussed and options thrown on the table. None of this is decided yet. So, but clearly we would have we would have games, we would have goodies on sale, shiny things still to look at. We would have gaming areas in the socially distance show. They are quite spaced out, and with lots of room between them. And we're also looking at possibilities of things like bubbles. So if you come in a group where you are bubbling, as it were, where you come together, we may look at having a bubble ticket number on your some method that basically means we can identify that you are all in one bubble, and therefore it is safe for you to be together. But we would then not be mixing. We may have disposable tablecloths.
So lots of options, which means because we're juggling so many, we don't know if kids RPGs will happen, or if they
kids RPGs may happen in a full show. I think quite likely to happen in a full show, but wouldn't happen in a role playing. Games are most unlikely to happen in a sit round a table way in a social distance show because of the difficulty of social distancing. That doesn't mean the exhibitors can't be there, and they may be able to find ways of doing mini demos. Again,
so that's some of the people that we've been talking to have been saying, especially the role playing folks, is that what we would do is we would show a piece of the story, show how you'd interact, maybe ask you to do some of the choices in it. So rather than sitting down and actually getting to play a demonstration, it would be a very much cut down show and tell style demonstration, so that you can still get the flavour of it, but you wouldn't perhaps be able to sit around a table if it were a socially distant show. If it's a normal show, then we'd very much like to look at whatever we can to make it as normal as possible, including
so live entertainment is obviously also a problem in a social distance thing. How many? Because you would have to have a lot less people in the room, or a much bigger room, so we'd have to look at simply the costs of that, because the acts, we do have to pay them. They don't just come for the Hilton breakfast.
Which is good, by the way.
Breakfast.
And we are having some chats with them, and they're aware of that, and they're obviously very good supporting us at the virtual thing last time round. We could have them back. We'd absolutely love to have them. We will do one day, but how much of that is possible, we'd have to wait and see. And what else we got? The outdoor bits. In terms of the Vikings, actually, that's one area that might be able to run a social distance show, because it is outdoors, and they I know have rules and regulations on what is permitted in terms of combat demos. So again, household members can fight each other, for example.
And they tend to be in little family pods as well, and shares.
The string that keeps you away from the rabid Vikings. I remember standing behind it to watch them fight. So they are already socially distanced and that kind of stuff.
Some costumes are clearly sort of already got masks anyway.
Yes,
so.
Very much so.
Okay, all right. So I think it's time to kind of wrap up and get back to planning 23 different just 2 different expos, just 2. Get back to that, and really thank you for taking some time with us today, Richard. It's been great to kind of get the nitty gritty to what's going on. Kate, if folks still have questions or want to make sure they're up to date, where should they go? What should they do?
Have a look on our website. Like I said, we are updating it. If it's in terms of tickets, as Tony said in the chat, we will be emailing everyone who has a ticket anyway, so they know what's going on. Please sign up to our newsletter. That will be the easiest way to get there. Look at our social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's UK Games Expo. We will attempt to put as many things on there as soon as we know them. If you have specific questions, there is a contact form on the website. However, a lot of our stuff at the moment is going to be, we don't know. So please check social media, check your emails, and check the website first, so that we're not continually answering the same questions. If we get the same questions in a number of times, we will put a post out on these things anyway, but we have plans to do that anyhow. So yes, please keep in touch.
Cool. I didn't pay Tea and Cake Gaming for this next question. I didn't pay them at all. When are we going to be back, Kate? When are we going to be back on Twitch? Have we got any plans yet, or are we still sort of dealing with the new dateline?
So we could be doing this is actually a conversation Billy and I need to have after this.
Yeah.
So so potentially next week or maybe the week after. It depends on if I get confirmations back from people as to who we're chatting to and things. But
nice. So
good.
Again, find us on the Facebook, on the Twitters and the Instagrams, and sign up for the newsletters.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome, folks. Thank you again, Richard, for sharing with us. Thanks for chat, for all the great questions. We saw you in there, Tony. Saw you in there, getting stuck in. And
thanks to everyone for watching as well. It's massively appreciated.
Indeed.
We realise it's lunchtime for most people.
It is, yeah. And speaking of lunchtime, it is time to go and get some lunch. Take care, folks. Stay safe. We'll be back soon. Bye-bye.
See you.